A study conducted by the American Psychological Association revealed that black people are often seen as dangerous, a perception that has endured for centuries. But why does this perception exist? Pause for a moment and really think about where this narrative of African people being dangerous even stemmed from. It's not just hate we're talking about. There's a tangled web of jealousy, fear, and the perception of black individuals as a threat. There's compelling evidence suggesting that deep-seated beliefs fuel this subconscious jealousy and animosity. The reasons are startling, and we'll talk about each one in depth in this video. Historically, there's been a fabricated narrative of superiority that white Europeans and Arabs felt toward black Africans. In their prime, black Africans thrived in gold-rich cities, which ignited envy among non-black populations. This inferiority complex led to the portrayal of black Africans as lesser beings, marked by their dark skin, full lips, and curly hair. Feeling threatened by their superiority, some declared black Africans a backward race, kicking off a long history of oppression and subjugation. We bet they didn't tell you that in those history books. But here's the key question. Why do non-black individuals perceive black Africans as a threat, and why does this perception still linger today? Let's have a look at the long list of reasons. The origins of humanity. All right, let's take it way back to the ancient times. Did you know that fossil records and historical evidence confirm that the very first humans originated in Africa? It's a remarkable fact that black Africans thrived long before other races emerged, developing cognitive skills and eventually building the world's first civilizations. But here's the kicker. Non-black individuals have often resented this truth, unwilling to acknowledge that they are descendants of the very race they've labeled as inferior. And when we look at DNA tests, many people of European descent actually carry significant traces of African ancestry. This genetic link challenges the narrative of superiority and reinforces Africa's status as the true center of civilization. These historians have often suggested that Africans were not only the first humans but also some of the earliest civilized people. In fact, they claimed that the Ethiopians were the original inhabitants of the earth, pointing out that they didn't immigrate, they were natives. This idea implies that the region closest to the sun was also the first to produce life. Despite contemporary views, ancient thinkers and early observers consistently recognized that Africa was home to humanity's oldest civilizations, a perspective that was only recently challenged. The African continent's power. And then there's the fact that Africa has always been rich in natural resources, making it a significant draw for civilizations seeking control. Throughout history, empires like Ghana and Mali were renowned for their wealth, with Arab scholars marveling at their riches. Ghana, in particular, earned the title of the City of Gold. The idea that Africans held dominion over such riches challenged the narratives constructed by those who sought to exploit them. Fast forward to today, and the legacy of this wealth continues. The continent is still rich in oil, gold, diamonds, and other precious metals. Yet, many African nations remain under the thumb of colonial powers, with countries like France still controlling vast portions of Africa's resources. So with that in mind, let's look at the reasons why black Africans were and still are considered dangerous. The perception of physical superiority. Throughout the ages, black individuals have been admired for their exceptional physical strength and natural charisma. But here's the twist. These very qualities have sparked fear and insecurity among non-black individuals, who often view this physical dominance as a direct threat to their own status and values. In fact, even today, some white men perceive black people as almost superhuman, especially when they feel outperformed in various physical arenas. It's a fact. Black people are among the strongest humans on Earth. Their remarkable physical presence has never gone unnoticed, and non-black individuals recognize that if black people were allowed to participate fully in societal matters, they would likely dominate and maintain control. A new social order emerged: enslavement. Europeans deemed physical labor as inferior, elevating themselves based on delicate and fragile attributes. Aristotle, for example, referred to slaves as individuals born to serve, and many of those enslaved were black. This oppressive mindset led to brutal punishments for black slaves, who were wrongfully believed to be less sensitive to pain. The fear of black physicality, combined with societal constructs that devalued black contributions, has created a long-standing narrative of insecurity and prejudice. Instead of celebrating the strength and talent of black individuals, this narrative has perpetuated an ongoing cycle of discrimination and oppression. The fear of genetic annihilation. Another fear that shaped societal attitudes toward black individuals during and after the era of enslavement is the fear of genetic annihilation. During the dark period of slavery, black individuals posed a unique threat to their non-black masters, not just because of their undeniable physical strength and charisma, but due to a deeper fear rooted in biology, the fear that intermarriage with black individuals could lead to the extinction of non-black genes. Biologically speaking, when two individuals have children, their genes combine, influencing the traits of their offspring. Many white individuals feared that in interracial relationships, black genes would dominate. Why did they believe this? It boils down to a survival instinct. Traits that are better suited to an environment often take precedence. Given that many black individuals had traits advantageous for survival, there was a widespread fear that their genes would overpower those of white people. This fear didn't just linger in the background, it led to harsh social policies. Interracial marriages were strictly prohibited, and the infamous one-drop rule emerged. This rule dictated that anyone with even a single black ancestor would be considered black, effectively barring them from marrying white individuals. The intention was clear: suppress black individuals and prevent their genes from taking over. Although laws like these no longer exist, the remnants of this fear and hatred still linger in our society today. Now let's connect this to the historical narrative surrounding Africans. The idea that Africans are the original humans, the first to walk the earth, could instill a primordial fear of genetic annihilation. If they are the roots of humanity, what does that mean for other races? It implies that humanity could return to its African origins, a thought that can be quite unsettling for some. The one-drop rule reinforced the notion that any trace of African blood was a threat, categorizing individuals and limiting their social, economic, and political opportunities. But it's essential to note that this fear of genetic dilution wasn't universal across all European ethnic groups. In places like Latin America, Spanish and Portuguese colonizers often intermingled with enslaved African women, leading to a new class of individuals who enjoyed certain privileges and access to resources. Similarly, in the Arab world, children of African slaves sometimes adopted the identity of their Arab fathers, showcasing the complexities of race and identity in different cultural contexts. Ultimately, the fear of genetic annihilation was primarily a construct of European anxiety. It speaks to a deeper narrative of insecurity and the lengths some have gone to in order to maintain perceived superiority. The fear of losing partners to black men. Another deeply rooted stereotype and insecurity was that of a white man in a loving, committed relationship with a white woman, having this unspoken fear that his partner might be drawn to black men. And this isn't just a random fear. It's a reflection of long-standing societal stereotypes that associate black men with sexual prowess and physical dominance. These stereotypes can trigger insecurities in white men, making them question their own attractiveness. Studies have suggested that black men are often viewed as more masculine. This perception can intensify feelings of insecurity, especially as we witness a growing trend of relationships and marriages between black men and white women. The fear of extinction. At the heart of this fear lies a belief that black individuals are often seen as stronger, more attractive, and even superior in certain aspects. For some, this perception creates anxiety, particularly within white supremacist ideologies, where the dominance of white populations is believed to be diminishing. Demographic changes, migration patterns, cultural shifts, and fluctuating birth rates only amplify these concerns. This sense of being outnumbered or outperformed can lead to an urgent desire to preserve one's identity. Unfortunately, this often manifests in racism and discriminatory practices. The fear of extinction is intricately connected to the anxiety of genetic annihilation, described earlier, as the belief that black genes might eventually suppress white genes. This fuels a deep-seated fear that the white population could face eventual vanishing. The fear of being replaced. This fear stems from the dismantling of systemic barriers that once kept black individuals from accessing property and pursuing their dreams. With these barriers breaking down, many black individuals are now achieving their aspirations, leading to heightened anxiety among some white individuals about their own status. The perception that black people might possess advantages in critical areas like economics, culture, and demographics can be disconcerting. The thought of losing long-held privileges can trigger a defensive mindset, causing some to resist social progress and change. Historically, structural and institutional racism played a significant role in maintaining this power imbalance. But as these systems begin to fade, the fear of replacement has become more pronounced. Acknowledging black individuals' cognitive strengths and their growing success only adds to this anxiety. The fear of losing white supremacy. As racial and ethnic diversity grows, along with progressive movements that challenge outdated norms, these groups perceive their cultural, social, and political dominance as threatened. The core ideology of white supremacy rests on the belief that white individuals are inherently superior and divinely chosen. Yet, the irony is that if this belief were genuinely solid, why would they feel so insecure? This fear reveals the fragility of their convictions. Confronted with the reality of increasing diversity, some groups respond with xenophobia, racism, and a desperate need to maintain traditional power structures. At the heart of their anxiety lies the fear of becoming a minority in their own country, which would mean relinquishing the advantages they've enjoyed for generations. Political rhetoric that promotes an us versus them mentality only exacerbates these fears. In extreme cases, this anxiety can manifest in violence and intimidation, as these groups fight to preserve their perceived dominance. The Inferiority Complex. For some extreme white conservatives and supremacists, there exists a nagging acknowledgement of the perceived strengths of black individuals, especially in terms of resilience and survival capabilities. However, rather than embracing this reality, they react with jealousy, fueling a deep-rooted sense of inadequacy. This inferiority complex stems from feelings of inadequacy. When individuals perceive themselves as weaker or less exceptional than those they envy, it can trigger resentment and low self-esteem. Many conflicts between white and black individuals can be traced back to this underlying emotional struggle. The hatred and hostility displayed by some white individuals often reflect their internal feelings of inadequacy and jealousy. Instead of focusing on personal growth and self-improvement, these individuals become fixated on their shortcomings. This fixation only intensifies their resentment, leading to a defensive attitude toward the successes of black people. To sum it up, the perceptions of black individuals as dangerous stem from historical narratives, societal constructs, and deep-seated fears that continue to persist today. This narrative has its roots in a long history of oppression, jealousy, and the need to maintain power, leading to the dehumanization of black Africans and the perpetuation of stereotypes that paint them as threats. Let us know your thoughts about these perceived fears in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. And click that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos.